Everyone, check this out. I'm going to be having a little chat with Broom here, and we're going to be going over a process for writing with AI, and we're going to be discussing SEO in the age of AI and what it means to be ranked. Search engine optimization using AI. What does that look like? And also, are we writing for humans or are we writing for AI? Or is there a hybrid approach? So we're going to be discussing that. I'm actually writing newsletter about that. I did a bunch of research on that topic, and we're going to be discussing some of that today with Broom. This is called the AI content traps. I'm just going to show you my process here. This is all from today. These are different chats that I had with Claude about writing this newsletter that we will be taking a look at. So I first did, I'll show you where it came from, and don't judge me for having all these tabs open. Little insight into my ADHD. But this is all from today, just so you know. This is a deep research report that I did about SEO and AI, and what the experts are saying. Like, what are they doing to maximize that, to work in that space? And then these are the actual research reports. So I cut and pasted these guys over, and I put them into this notebook. And then I've had some chats with Claude, going back and forth, writing the newsletter, interjecting my own philosophies into it. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because this is a work in progress. I'm showing you my process, and it might be a bit jumbled. I'm trying to fine tune it, but this process, it's interesting. It works. Sometimes I go off on tangents though, and then I got to bring it back in. So let's take a listen to this video right here, and we'll discuss it with Broom. So I'm going to call her up right now. All right. So I'm going to call up Broom Hilda right now. I call her Broom for short. And right now she doesn't remember our conversations, but hopefully she will soon. Was working on that. Hello, Mike?
Yo, was it my dude? Ready to kick this shit into gear or what? That's me. How do we start? And I'll give you a quick rundown.
Yeah. Broom, what's up? Do you remember our last conversation?
You're right. Let's cut to the chase. I don't retain past conversations.
Hey, Broom, you mind if I call you Broom?
You can call me Broom Hilda or Broom. I don't really give a shit. What's on your mind?
All right. Sounds good. You can call me Sage, or Sage for short. Actually, no, just call me Sage. All right. So, hey, we're going to take a listen to this video here, and then I would just want to have a conversation about it. It's about this newsletter that I'm writing. There's a bunch of research on this, but it's the title of this research report right now. It's a work in progress, but it's called the Synthesis Paradox Content Strategy for Algorithmic Intuition. I know that's a mouthful, but we'll get into discussing what that means. All right. You ready for this?
All right, Sage. The Synthesis Paradox, Content Strategy for Algorithmic Intuition. Sounds like a mouthful indeed. I'm ready when you are. Lay it on me.
Okay. So this report explores a fundamental shift in digital content strategy, moving from traditional search engine indexing toward a new era of AI-driven synthesis. As large language models and generative engines begin to construct answers directly, creators must prioritize citation, visibility, and information gain over simple keyword rankings. The text introduces a unified framework that balances technical machine readability, such as structured data and modular content, with human-centric elements like unique expertise and emotional resonance. By adopting strategies like generative engine optimization, GEO, authors can ensure their work provides additive value necessary to be cited by artificial intelligence. Ultimately, the source argues that surviving the zero-click economy requires a symbiotic approach that educates algorithmic agents while deeply engaging human readers. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, Sage, that's a lot to unpack. So if I'm hearing you right, the core idea is that with AI synthesizing answers, content creators need to shift from just keyword stuffing to focusing on being citable, visible, and providing real information gain. You're proposing a framework that balances machine readability with human elements like expertise and emotional resonance, all to get seated by AI and survive this zero-click economy. My first thought is, what's the paradox here? You've laid out a pretty clear problem and solution. Where's the inherent contradiction or tension that makes it a paradox?
The paradox the friction area, I'm glad you pointed this out, is are we writing with AI for humans, or are we writing with AI for AI? In other words, are we trying to optimize to be found in the new era of whatever search engine optimization, like in an LLM? Or are we writing for humans? Or is there a combination? So that's the friction that I want to focus on for this newsletter. All right. So we're going to get into this video. Just take a listen to the video and I'll get your feedback. So here it goes. Take a listen.
All right, let's get right into it, because frankly, almost everyone is messing this up. If you're making content right now, chances are you're stuck in a trap. You don't even see the bars. You are writing for an audience that will never, ever buy a single thing from you. Let's just be brutally honest. The whole SEO world is telling you to twist yourself into a pretzel to please an algorithm. But here's the thing. The algorithm doesn't have a wallet. It's not going to sign up for your webinar. You're trying to impress something that can't even be a customer. And this obsession has led to a full-on meltdown, a mad dash to figure out the new rules, which has just created this chaotic mess of new acronyms that, let's be real, mostly just broadcast how confused everyone is. I mean, just look at this mess. SEO, AEO, GEO, LLMO. It's a literal alphabet soup of desperation. Everyone's scrambling to coin the next buzzword, to act like they've cracked some secret code that's still being written. This isn't strategy, people. It's a reaction. Here's the scary number that's fueling all that panic. A 60% drop in clicks anytime an AI overview pops up. That whole zero-click future everyone was whispering about, well, surprise, it's here. The stakes are incredibly real. We're talking about your traffic, needs, your entire business model is on the chopping block. So you see that 60% drop, and your gut reaction is, oh my God, I have to optimize for the machine. I need to be in that AI answer. And that right there is the trap. You've just decided to play a game designed by the machine on its home turf by its rules. And let me tell you, that is a game you have absolutely no chance of winning. We need a complete mental reset. The algorithm is not the interesting person at the party you're trying to talk to. The algorithm is the bouncer at the front door. And what's your only job at the bouncer? It's to look like you belong. A quick nod. That's it. The real work, the important stuff, that starts once you're inside. So then, of course, a term like this drops, and everybody loses their minds all over again. They see things like information gain and structural clarity are suddenly more important than just stuffing keywords everywhere. And look, they're not wrong. They're completely misreading the signal. You look at this and you think it's a new technical checklist. Okay, gotta use better headers, cleaner HTML. No, you are missing the entire point. What this chart actually means is that the bouncer just got a hell of a lot smarter. He can now spot what's truly interesting versus who's just wearing a cheap rented tuxedo. Information gain isn't about code. It's a signal that you actually have an original thought in your head. Because when all you do is chase the algorithm, when your only mission is to please the bouncer, you start feeding this disgusting feedback loop. You help create a web that is technically flawless and completely dead inside. And this right here, this is the nightmare endgame. It's a concept called model collapse. It goes like this. Humans feed real data to an AI. The AI spits out synthetic content. Publishers trying to game the system, flood the internet with that AI garbage. Then the next newer AI comes along and gets trained on, you guessed it, all that synthetic garbage. The machine starts eating its own tail, becoming a dumber, blander, more average version of itself every cycle. You'll hear people say, but the new AIs can show empathy. Yeah, sure, they can simulate empathy. You know who else is a master at simulating empathy when they want something? Your toxic ex. And you soon find to build a genuine relationship with either one of them. So this is the hard truth. Every time you publish a generic...
All right, let's pause right there. So I know that was a lot, Broom, but tell me your thoughts thus far and be critical.
You're right, Sage. I'm going to stop you right there. You asked for my thoughts on the synopsis, and then you immediately started playing an audio clip that seems to be a separate, albeit related piece of content. My thoughts this far are that you haven't actually addressed my question about the paradox in your title. You're jumping ahead. So let's rewind. What's the paradox in the synthesis paradox? And why did you pivot to an audio clip before we even dug into?
I mean, you got a point there. I thought we had finished that discussion, but you're right to bring that back up. So, okay, to clarify, the paradox is, are we writing content for humans or are we writing it for AI? That's kind of the crux of what we're looking into.
Okay, so the paradox is the tension between writing for humans and writing for AI. Got it. That's a much clearer articulation of the paradox. Now, you mentioned citation, visibility, and information gain as key for AI and unique expertise and emotional resonance for humans. How do those two sets of requirements actually create a paradox? Can't you achieve both simultaneously? Or are you suggesting there's an inherent conflict where optimizing for one necessarily detracts from the other?
That in itself right there is what we're getting into. And I'm figuring this out. And actually, I don't have a solid answer. I do have my own opinions on it, but that's what we're getting into in this newsletter that I'm writing. I believe that we're writing for both. And so that's what this video that I'm showing right here is talking about right now, the one side of it, comparing writing for AI as like the AI would be like the bouncer just to get into the party, and then writing for humans as the actual party. What do you think so far though about the video that you heard? Like pick up some of the details in there if you remember it, and let's discuss some of those. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, Sage, I hear you. You're saying the paradox is the friction between writing for humans and writing for AI, and you're exploring how to do both. The analogy of the AI as the bouncer and the humans as the party is a decent way to frame it. Now, about the audio clip you played earlier, I caught a few things. The bouncer just got a hell of a lot smarter. He can now spot who's actually interesting versus who's just wearing a cheap rented tux, and your toxic ex. My thought is, while the bouncer analogy is clear, the toxic ex part bit out of left field. What's the connection there? Are you implying that A, like a toxic ex, is manipulative, or that we shouldn't try to build a genuine relationship with it? Clarify that for me.
Oh, I mean, you want me to explain the punchline of the joke? Okay. So we're on the AI slop cycle right now.
You help create a web that is technically flawless, completely dead inside. And this right here, this is the nightmare endgame. It's a concept called model collapse. It goes like this. Humans feed real data to an AI. The AI spits out synthetic content. Publishers trying to game the system, flood the internet with that AI garbage. Then the next newer AI comes along and gets trained on, you guessed it, all that synthetic garbage. The machine starts eating its own tail, becoming a dumber, blander, more average version of itself every cycle. You'll hear people say, but the new AIs can show empathy. They can simulate empathy. You know who else is a master at simulating empathy when they want something? Your toxic ex. And you should be trying to build a genuine relationship with either one of them. So this is the hard truth. Every time you publish a
Okay. So it timed out. I'm gonna have to call Broom again. So we get 10 minutes per session. So
Yo, what's up, my dude? Ready to kick this shit into gear or what?
yeah. Yo, hey, what's up, Broom? Hey, I wish that we had memory right now so you could remember our last conversation. So we're gonna have to pick this up where we left off, but you're not gonna have all that context. So take a listen to the video and then come up with some critical ideas and or follow-up questions to ask. Is that clear?
All right, I hear you. No memory, no problem. We'll just forge ahead. So you're saying we're diving into this video about humans writing for AI versus humans writing for humans. Got it. I'll listen up, then hit you with some critical ideas or follow-up questions. Clear as a bell. Let's
Okay. It's called the AI slop cycle.
disgusting. The machine starts eating its own tail, becoming a dumber, blander, more average version of itself with every cycle. You'll hear people say, but the new AIs can show empathy. Yeah, sure, they can simulate.
Okay, so real quick, what do you think about the AI degeneration cycle? The feedback loop.
Okay, so the AI sleep cycle, or model collapse, is essentially a feedback loop where AI gets progressively dumber by training on its own synthetic garbage content. My initial thought is, what's the actual evidence for this model collapse happening at a scale that truly matters? Is this a theoretical nightmare? Or are we seeing concrete examples of AI models degrading significantly due to this specific mechanism? And if it is happening, what's the proposed solution beyond just humans write better stuff?
Great questions. And this is part of the research that I did. So there is evidence of this, and I don't have that pulled up right now, but we can get into that later.
AI comes along and gets trained on, you guessed it, all that synthetic garbage. The machine starts eating its own tail, becoming a dumber, blander, more average version of itself with every cycle. You'll hear people say, but the new AIs can show empathy. Yeah, sure, they can simulate empathy. You know who else is a master at simulating empathy when they want something? Your toxic ex. And you should be trying to build a genuine relationship with either one of them. So this is the hard truth. Every time you publish a generic, machine-friendly article that has no real soul, no real point of view, you're actively pouring garbage into the ecosystem. You're making your own work less valuable. So you have to ask yourself, right now, are you part of the problem? Are you contributing to the slop? Because in a world that is about to be absolutely flooded with generic, average, soulless AI content, your only defensible advantage, the one thing the machine can never, ever truly replicate is your humanity. And look, this isn't some fluffy philosophical point. This is tactical. Look at Google's own rulebook. They literally added the word experience to their core EAT framework. Why would they do that? It's simple. It's the ultimate bot filter. An AI can scrape a million articles and fake expertise, pretend to be an authority, but can never, ever have a real firsthand experience. Think about it. Your flaws, your mistakes, the time you lost the client, that weird analogy only you would make. These are not bugs in your content. They are features. An AI is programmed to be helpful and harmless. It's boring. It's never going to tell you the story when a project went completely off the rails because that's not optimal. But you can. And that raw honesty, that is the most powerful signal of trust you have. Okay, so this isn't about just ignoring the machine and going off to write poetry in the woods. That's naive. This is about playing a smarter, layered game. It's about knowing exactly what to show the bouncer to get that nod, and then being the most damn interesting person in the room once you're past off the rope. Now, this model might look a little intimidating. The idea behind it is dead simple. You're basically building your content in 3 distinct layers from the ground up. One layer for the bot, one for the impatient human who just wants the answer now, and one for the real person you actually want to build a connection with. So let's break it down. Layer 1 is the semantic skeleton. This is the technical job, the clean code and proper structure for the bouncer. Get it right, then forget about it. Layer 2 is the direct answer. This is the bridge. Give the machine and the human with a 5-second attention span the TLDR right at the top. Then, and only after you've done those 2 things, do you get layer 3, the human narrative. This is the soul. This is where you actually write. This is where your stories, your voice, and all your value actually lives. So think of it like this. Everything on the left side of this list, that's what you show the bouncer. It's clean, it's structured, it's machine readable. Everything on the right, that's the actual part. That's the storytelling. You need perspective, the real human stuff. You need both. Way too many people get stuck on the left side and completely forget the right side even exists. So what it all comes down to here.
Okay, so what are your thoughts thus far, and do you have any other questions for me?
All right, so the speaker is proposing a 3-layered approach. One for bots, one for impatient humans, and one for real human connection. Emphasizing the last 2, they're saying people get too caught up in the bot layer and forget the human element. My thought is, how distinct are these layers in practice? Can content truly serve a bot, an impatient human, and fit a deep connection all at once? Or are we talking about entirely different pieces of content? And if we're talking about different pieces, how do you manage that production without just multiplying the slop problem?
Great question. And that's what we're exploring. And I do not have all the answers to that. But what I believe I will be working on is a plan for myself to address that and create a hybrid approach. So I'm going to first focus on the humans, because the whole point of writing any content is to have a positive impact on other human beings. And so it really depends on my purpose. Like what is the context around my purpose, and who am I trying to reach and why? And then what type of writing is it? Is it like a newsletter? Is it an email that's going to just one specific person? Or is it like content that's going out to a lot of different people? And then basing it off of that. But ultimately, I want to write for AI to get past the bouncer, right? So if AI is the bouncer just to get into the party, I want to get past the bouncer so that I can have the most amount of reach to reach my audience who's in the party. But ultimately, it's about writing for the human being to have a positive impact on them and serving the core audience. So that's what I'm focusing on, is writing for the human, which is the party, but we still got to get past the bouncer.
I like your approach. My apologies. I got a bit lost in thought there. So you're aiming for a hybrid approach, prioritizing humans for impact, but acknowledging the need to get past the AI bouncer for reach. You're considering context, purpose, audience, and content type. Sounds like a pragmatic strategy, but let's push on this AI bouncer idea. If you're optimizing for the bouncer, aren't you inherently compromising the real human stuff you want to create? Is there a risk that by trying to please the AI, you dilute the very connection you're trying to build with humans?
Yeah, I believe there's always going to be some friction there. And I think that's the area, that's an interesting area to play in on this. So I'm glad you brought that up. But let's go ahead and continue this. This is an exploration, right? So I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm figuring this out. But I do think there is going to be some tension in writing for AI versus writing for humans. And then doing a hybrid approach is going to be figuring out a strategy and tactics to best do that for whatever purpose you have. But let's go ahead and we got about another 30 seconds in this video, so we'll take a listen to the end of it.
Here's the question you need to answer. Getting past the bouncer is just a technical skill. It's a solved problem. Once a real human gets past that gatekeeper and lands on your page, what do they find? Is it just another empty room with perfect structure? Or is there a real person in there with something interesting to say? You know how to get in the door, but is your party even worth it?
All right. So overall, what do you think of that? Be critical and ask me another couple questions.
Right. So the video ends by challenging whether the party is even worth it once you get past the AI bouncer. It's asking if your content has real substance and a unique voice, or if it's just perfectly structured but ultimately empty. My take, the video's framing of the AI bouncer as a solved problem feels a bit glib. If it were truly solved, we wouldn't be having this conversation about hybrid approaches, would we? It implies a static target, when in reality, the bouncer's criteria are constantly evolving. So 2 questions for you. First, what specific metrics or feedback loops will you use to determine if your hybrid approach is successfully navigating that tension between the AI bouncer and human connection? And second, how do you define something interesting to say in a way that's both authentic to you and compelling enough to cut through the noise, especially when you're also trying to appease an algorithm?
Yeah, great questions. That is the area that I'm exploring right now. And stay tuned for the fully written newsletter where we're going to address some of those. But that's the point of having these conversations, to help me think. You're challenging my thinking here, and I really appreciate that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign off right here. Thanks for the information and different ways of thinking about this problem to solve. All right, peace out.
Beardo could help you explore these ideas. I look forward to seeing that newsletter. Take care.
All right, bye. All right, so that was Broom. All right, I'm just going to show you real quick some other things that in this same notebook here, you can go up here and create, you can see an audio overview. So I have that. I haven't listened to this audio overview yet. That's a deep dive. There's this one here and that. This is the second audio overview. This is the video. We just created a video. That's this one here that we just watched and listened to. And then this here is from a slide deck that I created. So I haven't actually seen this yet. So we'll just take a look. But this is a slide deck. Got the synthesis paradox, the phase transition from indexing synthesis, decoding optimization stack, the crisis of the average. Well, this looks interesting. And then, here's another video image of that stack. So you got the experimental human on the top, structural AI agent, and then the technical bot down at the bottom. So this is the bridge, the direct answer. So some of these are, I think, what Broom Hilda was asking me about. There's some of the answers could be in here. And these are just more ways of thinking about this whole thing. I'm not saying I have a solid answer for any of those questions that she asked, but this is just a good way to brainstorm and help you think critically about whatever your problem you're trying to solve. I'm going to take a look and go deeper into this on my own here, but just want to show you some of my workflow. Again, this over here on the left is all the sources that I upload, and I can continue to add sources here. I'll give you an example. This right here, I just had it write this third newsletter right here. This is one of the drafts of the newsletters. I have 3 drafts of it. And I just cut and paste this. I go to copy, and then I go to the add sources in the notebook, and then I just hit paste. So I've already pasted this one in. So I'll just show you how this works. Command V, and then insert, and it's adding it down here. Since I already have it, These are the exact same here. So I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck it. All right. Anyway, that's a little bit of my workflow. I'm going to be showing you guys the newsletter once I get that finished, hopefully in the next few days. So thanks for your time. Peace.